Hey everybody, welcome to the Range Feuds. I'm the Range Ronin, your host, and we are down to our last two players and our last question of this final round. Let's give it up for player number one, Sharon. Let's hear it for player number two, Jason. If one of our players answers this question correctly, they will win the game and become a grand champion. Players, are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm as ready as ever.
All right, let's get started. There's only one answer, and it is the only correct answer. If one of you answers the question correctly, you win the game. All right, let's get started. We surveyed 100 marksmen, and from that survey, the top answer was determined. Listen carefully. Here's the question. Of all the .22 caliber pistols made, what .22 caliber semi-automatic pistol is the best in the world? Player number one, what is your answer?
Ronin, I am going to say the Browning Buckmark.
I am so sorry. That is not correct. Player number two, this is your chance. You answer the question, you win the game. Let me repeat the question. We surveyed 100 marksmen, and from that survey, the top answer was determined. Listen carefully. Here is the question. Of all the .22 caliber pistols made, what .22 caliber semi-automatic pistol is the best in the world?
Wow, that is a really tough one. I am going to say the Taurus TX22.
You nailed it. The top answer was the Taurus TX22. Congratulations. Now, let me tell you what you have won. You have won a free Range Ronin review of the Taurus TX22. So, to our winner, and you are all winners in my book, here's your free review of the Taurus TX22 .22 caliber semi-automatic pistol. We'll be right back, so stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. Let's open the curtains on the Taurus TX22. One of my viewers commented after viewing my Glock G44 review that the Taurus TX22 was superior to the Glock G44 due to its round count, trigger operation, and accuracy. So, I decided to purchase one and find out for myself. First, let's dig into the specifications for and the features of the pistol. To begin, The Taurus TX22 is chambered for the .22 caliber long rifle rimfire cartridge. It is a blowback operated, side eject, single action only firearm. According to Taurus,
the Taurus TX22 is the most advanced .22 long rifle rimfire pistol on the market. Engineered to deliver best-in-class accuracy and reliability, this rimfire polymer sporting pistol shoots and feels every bit like a custom-tuned competition model without any costly upgrades or modifications.
Currently, there are 12 models from which to choose. The model that I am reviewing is the Taurus TX22 Hard Anodized Black 22 LR Black Polymer Frame 16-round non-manual safety version. There are 66 parts that comprise the standard version, the version that I have. While I am not going to discuss all 66 parts, I can start with the slide assembly. Sighting in on the slide, no pun intended, you will notice the sights, front of which is fixed, held in place by a screw, similar to the Glock front sight, and contains a white dot. The rear sight is fully adjustable for windage and elevation, and contains two white dots for alignment with the front sight. The sides of the slide are nicely sculptured with front and rear serrations. The last of the front slide serration is extended rearward to give a somewhat in-motion look to the slide that blends well into the overall theme of the pistol. The slide, of course, houses the 4.1-inch alloy steel matte black finished barrel that has a thread protector, which can be exchanged with a provided suppressor adapter collar for mounting a suppressor if you wish to do so. The recoil spring and guide rod are not captive and, of course, the usual safety factors should be followed when disassembling and assembling the firearm, which I will address later. The side ejection port is massive and formed nicely to enhance the look of the pistol. While nice to look at, it also serves as a point to expel spent shells from the pistol, something that it does very well, thank you. The remainder of slide parts include those for the striker and internal extractor. Slide markings are minimal, with only TX marked just below the front sight on each side and Taurus marked on the left side of the slide. The highly stylized frame is of polymer materials that, of course, houses all the necessary trigger components: takedown lever, slide lock, magazine release, magazine, thumb safety if equipped, etc. The TX22 features a reversible magazine release. It comes configured from the factory for right-handed use. On this model, there is no thumb safety, but if installed, is ambidextrous. The disassembly latch is nicely integrated into the frame, adding to the lines of the pistol, just above the trigger. The trigger is a nicely curved and rounded unit housed within a large and squared-off kind of sculptured trigger guard that is large enough to accommodate a glove trigger finger. The front of the trigger guard is squared off to allow a support booger hooker to hold onto. The rear of the trigger guard is undercut so that you can make the most of the grip that begs for a high grip. The front portion of the frame includes a 2-point attachment place to hang a laser or laser light combination if you wish. The grip is interesting. The backstrap is highly curved and incorporates a substantial beaver tail of sorts so that you can get the hand as high as possible on the grip yet not worry about slide bite. The grip has a slight palm swell, and somebody paid attention to ergonomics while trying to accommodate a large variety of hand sizes. A one-size-fits-all approach? The grip texturing is very fine, but yet provides a very good gripping surface with its pebbly texture on the front, back, and sides. The Taurus logo is nicely embodied into the bottom of the grip on each side. The magazine base blends nicely with the grip, with barely a gap to be seen. The bottom of the grip curves in to blend with the magazine base of each of the two provided 16-round, in this case, magazines. The overall feeling of the grip is very nice in my hand. The overall look and feel of the Taurus TX22 is well executed. At only 17.3 ounces unloaded, the pistol is very light. The slide to frame ratio is very balanced. What I mean is that the slide height is just right for the frame, not being too high or too low, and gives the overall pistol a balanced look. The only thing, in my opinion, that takes away from the look of the pistol is the trigger guard. A little more rounding of trigger guard angles might have helped, maybe. I don't know. What do you think? As shown in the specifications, the TX22 has several safeties, depending on the model chosen. Although not on mine, there is a manual thumb safety. A trigger safety and a striker block safety are on all models. Without the manual thumb safety, the trigger safety is very simple. Do not pull the trigger unless you intend to fire the pistol. There is no trigger flapper or other device to prevent the trigger from moving into the frame. The striker block safety simply prevents the pistol from firing unless the trigger is pulled. The Taurus TX22 comes with two 16-round magazines, unless you are restricted in your state to 10-rounders. Each magazine comes with a load assist button that is on each side of the magazine, which you can use, or not, to help in loading the magazines. I found the magazines easy to load without using the assist buttons. The magazines can also be disassembled for cleaning. At the time of this review, 10-round and 16-round magazines for the TX22 were unavailable at Gun Mag Warehouse, but they run for $22.95 when in stock. These magazines seem to be very popular, and if you are looking for aftermarket magazines, like the Pro Mag 17-round, I would think twice, as I have read many complaints about these. Stick with OEM for the best function. Note that the TX22 does not have a magazine disconnect for a safety. It is capable of firing with the magazine removed. To load a magazine, hold the bottom of the magazine with one hand and pull down on the magazine loading using your thumb and forefinger. With your other thumb, insert the cartridges one at a time, pressing them down and to the rear fully under the lips of the magazine. Repeat until the magazine is loaded to magazine capacity. Alright, let's take this puppy apart. Disassembly is different from that stated in the manual. Here is the correct way. Before disassembly, always keep your finger off of the trigger and point the muzzle in a safe direction. Remove the magazine by pressing the magazine release button. Pull the slide to the rear and lock it back. Inspect the magazine well and chamber to confirm the pistol is empty. An empty firearm cannot fire. Push the slide catch down to release the slide and allow it to slowly go forward until it stops. Position the disassembly latch down. You will feel the slide release from the stop, and the release lever will remain in the down position. Pull and then release the trigger. The slide will move slightly forward. Move the slide forward about 1/2 inch. Lift the slide off of the frame. Remove the captive recoil spring assembly from its position on the bottom of the barrel. Finally, remove the barrel from the slide. No further disassembly is recommended unless done by a qualified gunsmith. To assemble the TX22, First, insert the barrel in the slide and guide it to the rearmost position. Insert the recoil spring assembly into the slide over the barrel, compressing the spring slightly to get it into position. Line up the slide cut rail openings with the rails on the frame. Gently push the slide down onto the frame and then rack the slide back. The disassembly latch will latch back into place on its own. You should cycle the slide several times with no magazine inserted and no rounds in the chamber to ensure that the barrel slide frame relationship is correct. At this point, I must mention dry firing the firearm. There is no mention of dry firing the TX22 in the manual, so I contacted Taurus and inquired about that. Simply stated, try to restrict dry firing to when disassembling and assembling and performing a function check. Do not repeatedly pull the trigger on an empty chamber to avoid damaging the striker or chamber. Taurus did agree, however, that the use of snap caps when dry firing will protect the striker, as they do use them when testing firearms after repair. I normally use snap caps, and I am an advocate of using them. Use this information for what it is worth to you. Now, let's take this little beastie to the range. To sight in the TX22, first, I bench rested the TX22 to check how close the sights were set and adjusted accordingly for my eyes. This session was not going to be a conclusive evaluation of the TX22, but would provide enough of the general idea of the pistol's performance. 2 cartridges were selected for this session: Federal Target Grade Performance 22 Long Rifle 40 grain at 1200 feet per second, and CCI Minimag LR HP 36 grain bladed at a rated 1260 feet per second. Initial sighting in was with the Federal Target Grade Performance 22 Long Rifle 40 grain at 1200 feet per second. The rear sight can be adjusted in elevation to raise or lower the point of impact. When raising the sight, the point of impact rises. When lowering the sight, the point of impact is lowered. The sight adjustment does not have a stop at the end, so while adjusting the sight, you must pay attention to the click according to the sight movements, up or down. The rear sight can also be adjusted for windage. Turn the windage adjusting screw clockwise to move the notch and point of impact to the right side. Turn the windage adjusting screw counterclockwise to move the notch and point of impact to the left side. Once the sight setting was to my liking, it was playtime. Some offhand shooting with the CCI Minimag 36 grain plated hollow point at a rated 1260 feet per second. So, everyone who has reviewed the Taurus TX22, video or written, has praised the trigger. Is it worth praising? Well, I must agree that the trigger is very good, but I can't say that it is better than any other pistol's trigger. There is a bit of take-up, a bit of softness, and then a clean break with very little over travel. The break is excellent and reminiscent of the break on a 1911 pistol, very crisp. Reset is quick and positive. Let's see, the only job the trigger must do is to release the striker, and I can say that it does that very well. With a trigger pull measuring in at 5 pounds 5.3 ounces, it is very positive in its single action only operation. By far, the TX22 has the best trigger pull of any polymer pistol that I own. I am not going to do an in-depth dissertation about concealment as I usually do, which you are probably thanking me for. I will say that the Taurus TX22 can be concealed under the right conditions and the right holsters, and holsters abound for the TX22, both IWB and OWB. There are those that benefit from a light recoiling, compact firearm. If that's what is needed for self-defense, then so be it. Who am I to judge? The physical dimensions and weight of the pistol is a plus for concealment and carry. A comparison between the Glock G44 and Taurus TX22 are shown for the model that I have. Aside from round count, 10 plus 1 to the G44 and 16 plus 1 to the TX22, there is very little difference between the two. Not enough to mention anyway. With all that said, you may not believe this, but you will because you see it. The Taurus TX22 also fits in my Simply Rugged Huda holster for the Springfield XDM45 4.5 inch and the Gelco Classic Light 2 shoulder system that also houses G19, G44, G45, G22, etc. So, I save some money there. Not that I'll be carrying the TX22, but if I do, Alright, I agree that the Taurus TX22 is a fine pistol. It seems to be as reliable as it is accurate. I like the fit and feel. The sights are small but adequate, even for these old eyes. The styling is accessible and even reminds me a bit of my Beretta CX-S4 Storm. A bit unique, but highly reliable. Competition models are set up for optics. 10 models are available with a thumb safety. Out of the 12 models currently available, there is probably one or more that will fit your 22 whims and whimsies. As a beginner's training pistol, an experienced shooter's pistol, a pistol for competition, playtime, and even small furry woodland creature hunting or pest control eradication, I believe that it would serve you well. Well, my friends, there you have it. My observations and opinions of the Taurus TX22. Thanks for watching my story, and I hope that you enjoyed it. And I hope that you will return for more Range Ronin gun and gear reviews. Until then, stay safe out there.